what is God saying? What is God's purpose?
Yeah.
What is God's agenda in your life? And so for us, we had already planned, just as any other couple would plan.
Yeah.
But we didn't know what God had in store for us. And we had not understood who we are at that particular time.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Size 8 Reborn. Niko na Priscilla Ndanu. Ndanu tuanza show. Ebu anza show. Ebu ona huyu anacheka tu. Badala tuanze show. Ebu okay, started. Okay, thank you. I am Size 8 Reborn. As I was saying before, my friend is overexcited. She's happy. Priscilla Ndanu and Leah Tuambi.
How are you?
I'm so
You look
okay.
nice.
This
is Mama Wambo.
Yes.
For those of you joining us for the first time. Na kama kawaida, we have an amazing guest. Leo before hata nianze kuambia asanteni mmesubscribe nini. I want to introduce our guest, Evelyn. Karibu.
Asante sana.
You look so beautiful.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mama Mshindi. Why did I call her Evelyn?
Yeah, I know.
Karibu.
Majina ilibadilika, you know.
Hallelujah. You're welcome, my dear.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, all of you who are watching. Please take your phone. Just start sharing this content right now with your friends, because this conversation that we're about to have, my friends, it is so nice. You don't want anyone to miss out. And today, Evelyn, we're talking about wait, and my friend Lynette.
Yes.
Waiting on God. There are many things that we ask God for in prayers, and we decide to sit back and wait. But then it becomes really challenging. Mimi tu kama mimi ndanu, like, you know, unaniona tu hivi. Sometimes I think maybe God has forgotten me, because you pray for something and then you read his word, which says that he's a good father and he gives good gifts to his children. The same God is telling you, when you ask me anything, I listen, you know, like I answer your prayers. Ask and it shall be given to you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door shall be opened. And then there's some things you're like, wow, hii mlango itafunguliwa siku gani? You have the trust in God and the faith in him, but it gets a bit shaky and you start to doubt and all of that. And when I was planning this show, I couldn't think of anyone else who has experienced what it means to wait in the Lord. Evelyn, karibu.
Asante.
Karibu.
Wow. You made it so emotional even before we start talking. Wow, waiting on the Lord. It's first and foremost, I just want to say it's an honor being here. I hear this show is called Pour It Out.
Yes.
So we are pouring everything out.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good platform just to share and pour out everything that has been inside, you know, and yeah, thank you for hosting me. It's an honor being in the midst of great women.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, you know, waiting is not easy. It's one of the things that I think God, he enabled people to have the grace of waiting. I don't know what he was thinking, because it's one of the things that it's the hardest thing to do. It's the hardest place for someone to be. When you know, I can have this cup, but I cannot have it.
Yeah.
It is there, but I'm being told, wait, wait, I will give it to you. Yet others are getting it. In fact, some are getting double, triple of it. Unaona tu anaingia kwa duka, getting it. But for you, it's like, no, it's not your turn yet.
Yeah.
It's not your turn yet. And for me, I think it's been a beautiful journey, a beautiful experience, a hard experience, but beautiful, a very hard place to be. And I don't know how I managed it, but I think the grace was there. Yeah.
So let me just ask you, because kuna watu wana watch and maybe they don't know, what is this that she has been waiting for? What is this cup? Well,
we've been waiting on God for so many things, but so many people that really know me, my circle of friends, they know for so many years down the line, 9 years down the line, we've been trusting God for a child, my husband and I. We've been married for now, this is our 10th year in marriage.
Wow.
And so being married in the western part of Kenya, not even Western, in African setup, there's this expectation that people usually have, especially when you get married the first year.
Yeah.
Not even the first year, the third month.
Yeah.
iko mtu, you know, like you're married, iko mtu, like people are looking and waiting, and not only people that are around you, your family members, your parents, you know, your siblings, they are like, hey, bado mjaamua. And you know, it's not that they're being insensitive, it is the African setup that we are in. There's this notion that when you get married as a woman, mtoto lazima akuje. And so for me, it's been an interesting journey. The first time, my husband and I were not even really into it so much. Like, yes, we knew God is going to bless us with a child. But we had given ourselves 3 years.
So this is not the first year.
Yes, the first year when you got, like even when you're dating, of course. So mnataka tunaona tukae after how long tupate mtoto? So acha tujipe 3 years tujibambe kidogo. You know, that is what a man planned for himself. What is God saying? What is God's purpose? You know, the way we plan things for ourselves. And I remember when we were sharing, I think it's you, or I don't know if it's Lynette or you were saying the way we as human beings, we have our own plans. But what is God saying? What is God's purpose? What is God's agenda in your life? And so for us, we had already planned, just as any other couple would plan. But we didn't know what God had in store for us. And we had not understood who we are at that particular time. We hadn't become Evelynwanjiru, the people that people know. We were still in the making. So we didn't see ahead of us 10 years, 9 years, 7 years down the line that God had already purposed to really to elevate our names in the gospel industry. And so we were planning our lives just as a normal couple. And expectations were like, after 3 years, tutaanza. But we were not going to family planning. We never did any family planning because...
What? Even for those 3 years?
For those 3 years, we never did any family planning. And so we were like, akikuja takuja. Starting our dating lives, dating this man that has been patient with me all these years. I don't know how. In fact, he should be here. You know, asking him question, how did you manage this? And then dating him the first year, it's beautiful being married to a Gunda. I know the negative sides that he has. I know his positive sides, which are 99%. And working with him, he never gave me pressure. We dated the first year, and him just seeing the Evelyn, the musician. He wanted to grow the woman in me. He wanted to grow the talent in me. Resigned his job to become a music producer. Set aside everything and said, you know what, this is what God has purposed for me. He didn't want to become a music producer. He has studied chemistry. So that's what he studied. Seeing me on the altar ministering and falling in love with this kagal kameingia to church hey, nimependa udem sana aji na mimi niko like kuna jamaa ameingia pale you know, I had this low self-esteem about myself. I never used to really love myself. I used to be a tomboy. Like I used to feel I'm not beautiful enough. But you know, I have a crush on this guy. This guy ends up, you know, telling me, hey, hi Eva, hi. When the first time we met, and I was like, Jehovah. You know, when he took me for the first date, we went and sat on that table, asked him, what do you want with me? Nini, kwa nini umeniita hapa? Kujifanya
diva, hata hujajua.
Ati, you know, I've been seeing you in church, and I am not looking for a girlfriend, I'm looking for a wife.
Wow.
I'm like, I am 19 years old. How old are you again? I'm 27. I said, my friend, 27 and 19, tuko I cannot, and he said, you know what? You don't want to get married right now? I said, yes, I'm not ready for marriage right now. And then he says, how many years do you want me to give you?
Wow.
I said 4 years. I said 4 years. Akasema, then 4 years it is.
Akangoja for 4 years.
Akaniambia 4 years, nikamwambia unatoka side gani? Akaniambia Nairobi. msichana Nakuru ngoje atifoye nikajua huyu kijana
akirudi Nairobi
ni hivyo.
Utapata chako si chako.
Nikajua tu hapa ninaenjoyiwa. Hakuna cha Nairobi yoyote. He got a job in Nakuru and he was looking for a church to fellowship. Of course being a pastor's son, una expect tu anapenda Mungu kuanzia day one. You know. Anyway, but not all pastors kids are like that.
Hata si tulikuwa wa pastor. Tukaimba vidonge tukarudi haya.
I know. And so he says I'm looking for a wife and our journey begins when after 4 years down the line we opened a studio together. When we were dating, while we were dating.
You started working together while you were dating.
This was still 19.
This is 2009.
Wow.
Which kind of trust is this?
Yeah, who trust is that?
I
Trust
know.
someone you're dating.
So for him, he says, he knew this is what God has said about him. That this is your wife. This is the person that you're going to stay with the entire
Wow.
For me, I was like, nimemaliza tu shule, lazima nione huko nje kuna kazi kwanza.
Si nipite na moja ile imefika. The first guy that comes, I cannot go with it.
So for me, I just I wanted to explore. I wanted to know how and I was just joining college.
Yeah.
You know, manze hapana, ngoja kidogo bro. So, but for him, he was settled in his mind. He's like, mimi niko tu hapa na kungojea.
Wow.
I'm like,
that's
beautiful. And you know, we said we opened a studio. Bweniv is his name and my name, Agunda Bweni and Evelyn Bweniv. And so we opened Bweniv Production. And so when we decided to get married in 2012 on the 7th of April, it's like 4 years zimeisha. Kwanza 4 years zilifika nikamwambia kwani unioi sasa miaka 4 zimeisha. Na mimi nakumbusha kwa sababu naona sasa umeanza kukua comfortable sana like on weekends tunafanya kazi pamoja. And so he says, okay, can we start off? We didn't have enough cash to do our wedding. So our budget was 300,000. Ni yenye tunategemea inatangwa aje fund drive ya committee.
Yes.
And so we didn't have that money. What we managed to get is 75,000 Kenya shillings. And so this 75,000 is 50,000 ya chakula sababu ni ya watu ni wa Luya kutoka Western, chakula lazima
ikuwe msito.
And so 10,000 ya tents, 3,000 ya cameraman na mtu wa Nguo, this is the best part. You know the way you like being a blessing to people? And for my music, I just wanted to get an opportunity to sing in any wedding. So this lady calls me and says, Evelyn, si ukuje uimbe kwa wedding yangu? Nikamwambia nitakuja tu. So nikiimba na yeye hivi, nikamwambia na gown yako ni smart, akasema asikanye utafanya harusi. Nitakubless na gown. So I thought hata siko na hiyo time ya 2 years tuna date tu bado. So when she heard that I'm getting married, she called, you remember I promised you a gown.
Wow.
I planted without knowing, you know, planting without knowing that one day you're gonna reap. And so she made this beautiful gown for me.
She made a gown. Si alikuwa amevaa.
Wow.
She made a gown.
The Bible is true.
Seeds,
when God
time
says whatever you plant,
you will reap. Yeah. Wow. And so she made this gown for me, and our wedding rings were 500 shillings. Yake ilikuwa 500 shillings. That was what we could afford. And unajua lazima iandikwe jina hapo ndani. So wanaandika tena na 300 bob ama sijui 200 bob. So yes. And so don't ask me about honeymoon because
was there honeymoon? Honeymoon kwa nyumba tu.
After the wedding, amesimama na mzee tunaenda wapi sasa? Tunarudi kwa nyumba best couple wetu because we didn't have a place to go. We didn't have that money.
Wow.
And you know, one of the things right now I look back and I say I think I honored my parents and the community by, you know, just allowing this man to take me to the altar in the right way.
Yes.
Amen.
Wow.
Leave alone the clothes and you too, the rings and everything. But you know, honoring myself as a woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when we decided that honeymoon, my cousin calls and says, oh, niko na nyumba yangu lakini ni bedroom moja tu hapa hivi uendani hapa Kawaskari. Karibu kuna supermarket kaitangwa Maguna somewhere tu hapo kwa hizo buildings mingi. Akatuambia aki nasikia tu hamna mahali mnataka kurudi Nakuru, aki amwezi rudi tu.
Endeni tu hapo hata.
Tukaenda tukapata
akaenda wapi?
Sijui alienda wapi. Sijawahi jua baadaye muuliza kesho. Kwani alienda wapi?
Alijipea shughuli.
Tukapata kitanda yake amemwaga tu roses. I'm telling you.
Wow, this is such a
I'm clean nyumba very clean. Tukakaa huko the whole week.
Wow.
I'm telling you.
That's a good friend.
That's a very good friend.
Very
Na
good friend.
sure mnakula.
Not a friend, that's my cousin.
Wow.
And so the money that people had really given us kwa
envelope.
Count tukalipa tudeni and then nikamwambia Gunda, babe, tujinunulie kakitu kakuonanga harusi tulinunua. So tukasema after 4 days tukasema tuache tutoke nje kidogo. We go to the supermarket and buy iron box. Sababu tukuanga na iron box.
This is genuine love. Oh my God.
Tunatembea. One of the people anatuona Magunda anasema anajua saizi usipenduke kwa sababu ukipenduka utaanguka chini. Nikasema kai nani ametuona sasa? You know, people expect us to be in Mombasa, Seychelles, Malaysia, Dubai. Tuko kawendani. Ati guy, uko na mlikuja honeymoon? I want to die.
Okay, guy.
You know, he say, yeah. You know, it's so funny because when you marry someone, you don't know the future that God has for you and what He has purposed and planned. And so nowadays, these people see us, we are traveling all over the world.
Like, honeymoon times 3.
Times 3.
Yes.
And so we got married and life started. First year, we're doing our business kama kawaida and we are raising this baby called Bwenif Productions.
Yeah.
Our minds are so much into it because we are trying to build ourselves, you know. And funny story, we didn't have even equipments for the studio. I remember the first song that I did, it's called Mazingira. It's sensitizing people about environment. Agunda went took a loan of 20,000. And he was not even able to pay it. And we recorded the song using a friend's studio. Took a record, and then the song was taken as a theme song for Mau Forest.
Wow.
The first very song, and it's now, nandikeko kwa magazeti ya Nation, sijui wapi nikatangazwa. I was like, hey. We decided again to do a song called Waweza. We didn't have studio equipment, so tulikuwa tunaomba microphone ya church. You know ile microphone ya church ya wire hii. And then he took his socks and then na hanger ya kuhanguo akaitoanisha akaput hiyo socks hivi ndani akaeka kama pop filter microphone hapo. We did
and that is the song that, you know, it's so famous. I think it's the song that released you into the market because everywhere gets to
Waweza, yeah. And we started life.
Wow.
Na Waweza naimba. Lakini bado tunatembea kwa boda ile, sio boda ya motorbike, boda ya bike. Hata 20 bob inatushinda kulipa. Back in Nakuru. And so we unasikia, ndio ule mwimbaji wa Waweza, hata unapandanga bike.
Zile Black Mamba.
Black Mamba. Black Mamba.
Wow.
I'm telling you. So we kept on. For us, we loved each other. That is the only thing that mattered.
Yeah.
And we knew that God is taking us to another dimension, but we didn't know how.
Wow.
We didn't know how.
Patience pays.
Patience pays. I'm telling you, we kept on moving and trusting God. House rent, 5,000. But that 5,000, my God, getting it to pay, ilikuwa inafikanga hata mwisho wa mwezi jaisha nasikia landlord. Bado 2 weeks msisahau.
Ile tu kuwa brief.
Kutu brief kwa sababu tunachelewanga kulipa nyumba sana. Mpaka lazima atukumbushe anaona ni kama
mnatisaulisha.
Tunajisaulisha kulipa nyumba.
Your 5,000.
Your 5,000.
Oh my God.
So life kept on. And then one day he wakes up and says, I want us to move to Nairobi. I said, no. Mimi siendi kuishi Nairobi. Why? Mimi siwezi ishi Nairobi. Nairobi maisha ngumu hivyo hiyo hapa tunatushinda Nairobi tutaweza aje? Said we're going to live in Nairobi. It was the hardest time, and then he said, you know what, if you refuse, I will go. Nikasema, uende Nairobi na venye mimi naogopa wasichana. Every time he will take me to Nairobi to see his parents, I will see girls na wanaume wameshikana mkono hivi town. Mimi sikuwa nimezoea hivyo. So he used to admire that. So venye tumefika Nairobi namwambia nishike mkono hata mimi kama. Na imagine akienda kuishi Nairobi na mimi anakuwa anashika nani mkono.
Wezi atilia nyama.
So he said we're moving to Nairobi. Before we moved to Nairobi, I was like, you know what, God, we are trusting you. We are trusting you. We had already done zaidi ya yote. People, Kenyans call it zaidi ya yote. It's called mungumku. My
so
God.
that time you did mungumku, you guys were still living in Nakuru?
We lived in Nakuru.
Because that's the time I met Evelyn when they were doing mungumku. They came to our studio.
Yes.
And you came with a few other musician friends of yours. We met Sami. I mean, we met now with Sami.
Yes.
And that's the time I remember interacting with you. Alikuwa tu mpole, amenyamaza.
Mpole.
Ana mambo mingi.
Like, you
wouldn't even know.
Evelyn mpole.
Now I know. No, now I know. But I remember meeting you guys that time, and you know, it's beautiful also how God knows how to cover people. Because when you meet people, you really don't know the problems. Hazikuangi zimejiandika hapa ati kwa forehead ati mimi niko na hii shida. Because they were ordinary clients. Now wako sawa, you know, this is the project they want. Na nakumbuka ukiwa na watu wengi, in my mind I knew this girl must be amejipanga. Alikuwa na the video had so many people and they had clothes, watu wamesiju mmeshonesha ama ilikuwa it had so many people.
Hebu tuambie hiyo.
Wow. And mungumku was also quite something.
When I did mungumku, because when Waweza came out, I lost so many friends because they felt like sasa ninachezwa kwa TV sana and there's a lot of invitations in churches back in Nairobi and interviews on TV. And so those people that we used to hustle with, you know, so I said above all, God will never change. You know, like how human beings can change instantly. And so that's how mungumku was back. And so when I did mungumku, I remember doing the video, and I when Sami was giving me the quotation of the videos, I mean, I told Agunda tutatoa wapi pesa. And I had 15,000, and I remember bringing it to him at kulipa. Bado niko na balance so that I'm able to be given the video. And we didn't have even a place where we can go. I'm giving him money, and we haven't paid house rent ile tunagonjongo even a landlord.
Wow.
And then I remember somebody telling me, you know, this song Evelyn, this song itagrow, itakuwa kubwa. Mimi naangalia tunasema itakuwa kubwa, ukijua mimi hata sasa hizi mambo song itakuwa kubwa. Mimi nafikiri nitatoka aje hapa, niende Nakuru aje, na hata tujalipa hata rent, na hii pesa yote nakupea. Yani 15,000 by then was that was a lot of money.
A jackpot for you.
My goodness.
And that time you can't tell this person hata umjui.
Yes.
And mko na only work relationship.
Yeah, and so we did mungumku, moved to Nairobi 2014. Moved to Nairobi. Our minds are so concentrated
on the baby,
this baby called Evelyn, and now growing the brand Evelyn. We are not thinking of
a baby.
So this was 3 years after marriage.
3 years after marriage.
But everyone else is looking at you like
they're just still looking at us. And when you see us, when you see me and my husband, most of the time you think we just got married the other day. When you see us, you think, bado wako honeymoon. Every time people will think, so you've been married how many years? 2 years? 1 year? It's only 3 years down the line. And so the 4th year, 5th year, and then the 6th year is when like, watu wanakuanga na watoto by the way.
No, that's when
it hit us when we were requested to become best couples in our friend's wedding. So tukasimamia harusi, and then the next year they're like, oh, we are expecting.
So
how did you feel?